I'm David, and this is David Talks.
And I'm Josh.
Well, I'm David, and we on David Talks too, man. Let's get it in. First time all three of us on here. What we about to do, man? I'm about to get on some diaper awards, y'all.
Let's get started.
All right, yeah. Who's about to start?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give a diaper award to those mosquitoes. Those mosquitoes. Listen, you know what? I went to Randall's Island. They had an outdoor movie, and I'm trying to hang, chill. Got my chair up, got my popcorn ready, and you know what I had to do? I had to take alcohol and pour it all over my arm, because that bug spray does not work.
Nah, it's real out here. It's real.
So what you got?
Dang, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to all the people that. This goes to a multitude of people, because, all right, Donald Trump just announced something about banning Juuls and flavored vapes and stuff like that, and that's actually, to me, a progressive thing. That's actually a smart thing to do. It's an active thing to do, but he's getting backlash from a multitude of people, and it's just weird. Like, even someone you don't agree with or don't like could come up with a good idea or something positive, for the nation, or to start the trend for the world. And I think a lot of people disagreeing with Donald Trump on that level, y'all getting the diaper awards. Y'all getting at least two to three diapers, man, because it's been a lot of cases going, like 500 cases, 600 cases about people being hospitalized and stuff like that. So if Donald Trump does something good, then all right, go with it. Don't focus on the negative, man.
Yeah, I think it's better to focus more on the idea rather than the person.
Right.
I do find it a little weird how people would be against that.
Right.
But I guess the fact that it's coming from Donald Trump, and he does get a lot of backlash, for multiple reasons. I think that's probably why they disagree.
Wow, that's very interesting. I'm all for good ideas, no matter who it comes from, and I think that honestly, you gotta sometimes take your personal feelings, or I should say emotions, and put it to the side for the better, better outcome. I would say. I mean, why would you want to shoot something down to save lives? I mean, clearly, and it's not just up to him to ban vape cigarettes. By the way, it's up to the people, and maybe. I mean, I've heard other people talk about banning it, and maybe he's trying to get ahead of it and take credit for it. But whatever, whoever it takes to get it done. And I'm just gonna say on a side note, before we go back to the vape cigarettes, I just want to say in regards to the Million Man March, some people are familiar with the Million Man March. Louis Farrakhan, you may have your differences in regards to his religion or whatever, but that wasn't exactly the point at all, to gather a million men together on a positive note. In fact, my cousins, Brenda and Ruthie, they suggested to a disc jockey about getting someone that has a influence over politically, I would say, Black Americans. That's the proper way to say it. To someone that's influenced many, to get a million men together. And I just want to say that it was an amazing thing. It was an amazing experience. One of the most amazing things in my life. I've learned a lot of things, and it helped me feel good about who I am. And I just want to say, thank you for that.
Yes, I understand your point. It's a lot of people may disagree with his views and beliefs, but I think if somebody's doing a great thing that's bringing people together and bringing unity, I really don't see what's wrong. What's the problem with that, to be honest with you?
Yeah, there's two controversial figures, or public figures, that you could look past all the political stuff or whatever religious views, and actually look at the good they're doing. But yeah, I mean, that's the diaper awards.
Yeah.
Before we wrap that up, you about to jump something else in there?
I just want to say I'll give him 5 diapers too. And I don't know what kind of diapers mosquitoes could get, but maybe they need to suck on some shit or something.
All right, I wanted to introduce a new segment, if that's cool with you.
That's perfectly
I
fine.
want to do this thing called Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
So basically, every time we talk about a topic or something, we name 4 of what you think are like the game changers or leaders, maybe even the best of that specific category. So
Okay.
if the Mount Rushmore would be a basketball, I'm gonna throw some names up there. This isn't quite my Mount Rushmore, but some people might say Jordan, Jack Johnson, LeBron, and
Okay. Can I can switch it up a little bit?
yeah, sure.
All right. Okay. So maybe I could say one. I got one. I'm gonna say baseball. I'm gonna go baseball. I'm gonna go New York Yankees. I feel one of the best all around players in baseball, which is underrated, which he didn't get this credit, is Bernie Williams.
Okay.
I believe that Bernie Williams carried the Yankees. He might have not even had even one era. Like the guy is almost flawless.
Right.
I think he deserves a lot of credit for making the Yankees who they are. He didn't make the whole team. However, he was a major part of world champions.
And so the Mount Rushmore is basically just teams, sports teams, things like that.
More like the four leading, best in that specific area. It doesn't even necessarily be the teams. Like, I was gonna say Mount Rushmore of actors. Like, your four
Nice.
favorite or like trend setting or
Well,
something like that.
I'm sure there's 4 I could think of, but the top one I could think of right now is Denzel Washington.
I agree.
That dude, he's a genius.
I agree.
I've actually went to see one of his plays, and I'm sorry that I can't remember the name of it, but he literally acted all the way through.
Yeah.
And although I might not see the other plays and maybe they might have made mistakes, but he really went all the way through and he captivated the whole entire audience. So I'm like, that really made me look at him in a way better light. So
Nice.
Yeah, I see that Broadway does that for a lot of actors. It allows a lot of you to see you in different perspectives and stuff like that. But yeah, Denzel Washington is up there, man. My list is a little crazy, man. I don't know. I'm gonna say my 4 right now for my Mount Rushmore. As far as actors, I like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's in my Mount Rushmore. I say Brad Pitt is in my Mount Rushmore. Mark Wahlberg is in my Mount Rushmore.
oh yes,
Yeah, he
I would
is
say
pretty
him
good.
too. Yeah.
And then the last person I'm gonna put, and this is a new one, and this is probably gonna spill into to the next topic, but Joaquin Phoenix is amazing, man. I've really been
Oh,
watching a lot of his movies, and his acting is insane. It used to be Christian Bale, but I think Joaquin Phoenix has actually passed that, and this is before we even seen the Joker movie that's coming out.
yeah, I was
with
just
him.
about to bring that
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
But,
It's actually based in the Bronx,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. It actually has the staircase. I believe that's off the concourse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I find that pretty cool. If anything, that's probably like, if I needed a reason to watch that movie, that was probably like the number 1 reason for me to go
Nice.
see
It
it.
hits home, right? Like a personal, like, yeah, I could identify with that part of it. Yeah, it's like the Bronx part of Gotham, which is, Gotham is based off of New York. But yeah, that's an interesting. I didn't even know that was the part he was in, but that's dope. That's a dope thing to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Before that though, because I know you're gonna switch over. Joaquin Phoenix is the same dude, the same villain from Gladiator.
oh really?
He went from that, which was a good performance. He was a convincing villain or antagonist, but he went from that to crazy movies like biopics and stuff like that. His a lot of people don't even recognize him as an actor anymore. They forget some of the roles he's played, and it's like you wouldn't even think of Gladiator when you say Joaquin Phoenix, but yeah, he's definitely taken over. And I know I said Mark Wahlberg, but honestly, he's been in every field. He's done some bad movies. He's done some good movies, but this is my favorite. I don't think the best or most talented, but definitely my favorite. And that's what I'm gonna roll with right there.
I'm gonna definitely agree with you. I certainly noticed the acting ability of Mark Wahlberg. I've actually have not seen a bad movie. There may be some out there, but I have seen actually amazing movies, and I think he might be underrated as well.
Yeah, the bad movie, which a lot of people don't like. I'm on the fence with it. The first time I seen it, I enjoyed it. Was The Happening. Is the everybody was committing suicide and stuff. And there's a big twist. I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but it's a M Night Shyamalan movie.
I feel like he gets a lot of flack for some reason, more flack than I feel like he deserves. You know, there's a lot of movies that he's put out that I really like Signs. The Happening is another one. I really enjoy that movie.
Right.
Just like any other, I guess, director or writer, producer, you're gonna put out some movies that are not so great.
Yeah,
but I noticed that. I noticed that throughout the
I think
years.
he doesn't get exactly the recognition he deserves. Although I can see why people don't enjoy his movies to the best of their ability, because it's like he doesn't go along with what characters do prior to great change in a movie. Like a catalyst, introducing to another part of the movie. He's like, oh yeah, that character doesn't seem like they would make that particular move. And as a director, I guess he's trying to make a statement that people will do things that you wouldn't expect them to do. And
That's probably why I personally like him.
Yeah.
I think I relate to this to the realism of the way he acts, and maybe people, whomever they may be, they like to put people in categories.
Right.
This is where you at, and you got to stay within this guideline,
Yeah.
and then we can judge you based on that.
Right.
And I think that, in a way, it's understandable because there's so much to look at. It's so hard to judge. So if you put somebody in a category, and if they're the best one in that category, then you can say they're the best.
And speaking of the best, and this actually coincides with the Joker thing, the Joker movie coming out and Joaquin Phoenix playing that. A lot of people didn't want to see anyone else play the Joker because of the late Heath Ledger.
Okay.
And he did such a great job as far as portraying a certain aspect of the Joker.
Right.
People didn't feel like it should be touched anymore, especially after Jared Leto in his attempt in Suicide Squad. And so a lot of people didn't appreciate that role,
Right.
even though I have my own theory on that.
I'm kind of curious. What's your theory?
All right, to sidetrack into that, my theory, this is spoiler alert. If you didn't see Suicide Squad, this is actually not a spoiler alert, but it might change your perspective going into the movie.
Yeah.
Apart from the director's intent, I think that the Joker in that movie isn't really the Joker. I believe that he's actually Robin inside that movie.
Okay.
I think he's the victim of the Joker.
All right.
And some people were saying that it might have been Damian Wayne, but it was debunked by the producer. But I think it's actually Nightwing.
Okay.
And if anyone reads the comics, and shout out to Q for reading the comics, right? The Joker has become he was the bad guy for Robin for a certain amount of time because he was jealous of his role from the Batman.
Right.
So, Robin actually becomes the Joker in certain comics, in certain levels, Batman Beyond, and certain things, and I think that's an interesting take. And they could actually save that. They could actually make it.
I think so. Yeah.
In a different.
That's actually interesting. And
but-
that's a great twist.
Because a lot of people don't. Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't like this kind of Joker, even though his depiction of the Joker is a lot closer than even Heath Ledger's. Besides the gangster, Joker aspect, but a lot of his characteristics. But that's a whole nother conversation. And that's opinion. But I think that like I was saying before,
it does make sense, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say that they had that in mind when they made this character.
yeah,
But I think they could save it. I mean, he does look like a younger version of the Joker.
right.
And for me seeing the movies, it looks like it's modern times. So it could. And a lot of movies, they don't like to copy the comics. They like to put their own kind of version into it.
Right.
But I do feel like that could be a possibility. Honestly, it's good.
I mean, I think you might want to start going into directing yourself. Sounds good.
Yeah, we could definitely get into that.
Yeah, and in the near future, we'll be definitely working towards those type of projects. So, yes.
This actually brings up another topic that's, to me, it's a big thing, and I'm gonna get the back end of the stick. I'm gonna take the back end of the stick for this one. There's a big debate that's been going on for years. It's not a big debate because obviously a lot of people are just gonna choose one side, and I'm saying this for a reason. Before I say it, 50 Cent put up a post that a lot of people disagree with, and saying that Chris Brown was a better entertainer than Michael Jackson. And I've been saying this for years, as far as he's maybe not as big as Michael Jackson would be, and I don't think anyone in history will ever be as big as Michael Jackson would be. But as far as expanding on his performance, I think Chris Brown has passed that talent level. Well, that's just me.
I mean, before I say anything, what do you think?
I can see why people would think that, like, would feel that way, because, you know, Chris Brown, I feel like his athletic skills maybe are a little bit more up to par. You know, he does flips, you know, he does more stunts. You know, as time goes on, of course, you know, you have more technology to be able to, like, carry you across, you know, the ceiling and things like that. I mean, I think the reason why Michael Jackson has such an impact is because, you know, there was really nobody else that had done what he had done at that time, you know?
The James Browns and stuff like that.
I mean, there's James Brown, there's things like that.
He kind of introduced his own. I see what you're saying.
But, you know, as time goes on, you know, people take those performances. I'm pretty sure he got inspiration from Michael Jackson.
I mean, a lot of people, and speaking of inspiration, before you get into your point, I do think a lot of people, because of the inspiration from Michael Jackson, don't get that recognition, aside from Justin Timberlake. But, like, even Jennifer Lopez, as the great performer as she is, and she's doing I think they announced that she's gonna do the halftime show for the Super Bowl.
All right.
Certain people like that, for whatever reason, they don't get the same recognition because of that lane from Michael Jackson. Even though a lot of people might disagree, but I think Beyonce took that mantle straight up. But she's definitely in that same lane in pop culture too, and definitely I would say as influential as Michael Jackson, if not holistically more.
Well, I tell you what, other people have said it, and funny. It's funny to me that people have to be so guarded in what they say, who they, you know. It's. I think it's amazing. I think people should speak their minds more, because there's other people that very animately would say, Chris Brown is definitely better than Michael Jackson, you know, in every way. I just want to say one. I respect Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is one of the first. Matter of fact, is the first song I've ever learned, actually, as a child. Michael Jackson has brought music to a completely different plateau. Just like his music is worldwide known. I think probably every little town, country, city, all over the globe knows who Michael Jackson is. He's probably more popular than anybody. Second to Jesus, the most popular person ever lived. You know, and for whatever reason, you know, different things happens. We have a very boisterous public that has a lot to say about different things that go on in people's personal lives, and there's no one watching this program that's perfect, and I'm sure every one of us has made mistakes, probably worse than Chris Brown. You guys know what I'm talking about, and I don't know the guy. I'm just being real. This is not about Chris Brown, right? In that aspect, but I would say that I've seen Chris Brown perform, and I haven't seen Michael Jackson perform, but he is pretty great. And I just want to say that, and I could say this, James Brown was actually a much better dancer than Michael Jackson. By far, he was an amazing entertainer, and you know, like you mentioned, at that time, music was at a certain level, and you know, as time progresses, and I feel like I agree with what 50 Cent said. 50 Cent is a wise person. You know, and I'm glad that he jokes around. He's not too serious because it ain't fun to be serious all the time anyway.
Yeah, it's
You
not.
know. Now, moving along to what I'm excited about, which we talked about the last show, is the new iPhone 11.
Yeah, definitely a big fan of that. I feel like as far as generations go, this has been the more progressive change in iPhones, I feel. You know, it has the 3 cameras. I looked it up and pretty much know the specs of it, you know, for the most part. It says that it has a wider lens, so you can take, you know, photos of like mountains and, you know, skylines, things like that. I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty impressive. As far as the design goes, you know, I'm a big fan of that as well. I'm hearing that you don't need a case for it, so you know what? I'm all for it. I'll just, you know what I mean?
I hear the backlash is getting for the clump up of the back of the phone. How you feeling about that? Like, they made a joke about it. It's called trypophobia, when there's too many things that's clumped up.
To me, honestly, I think I have trypophobia. I don't think it's that bad. So, you know what? It's pretty funny, to be honest with you. You know, you never know, the next iPhone could have 4 cameras. You know what I mean? Maybe there'll be a bunch of cameras covering the whole.
I mean, listen. I just want to say, I definitely want to hear from Joshua, and I definitely want to hear from David. But I have to say that the lenses are amazing. They are exactly what I want it to be. You can take pictures at night. You can film better at night than any professional camera in Hollywood, period. Okay? You could take that phone and make a movie and see everything better at night, and that's just for starters. You know, we're not talking about the like you said, you won't need a case. Okay, you can drop that phone. The screen is like tested with like sledgehammers and all
I'm not
kinds of-
sold. iPhone, do the thing with the wrist, and then we talking, man.
I just want to say it's great to be the underdog. However, clearly, I'm all for iPhone. And what do you think, Josh?
I mean, I'm all for it too. I can't really compare the iPhone to the Galaxy. I've never had a Galaxy, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough.
But, you know, I'm just sticking to what works for me.
Yeah.
I feel like iPhone is pretty simple. You know, it's not too complicated to figure things out. Yeah, and as far as like the new model, like I'm definitely gonna get it.
I just want to say there is so much to the new iPhone. It's first off, it's 3 times faster than any computer on the planet. By the way, in case you didn't know that, there's so many things that I can go on and on about the new iPhone.
Well,
it's again.
What I appreciate about the
Thank you,
iPhone,
Apple.
and shout out to Apple, is that whatever they're coming out with now is just gonna make the Samsung phone even better. It's cool. I mean, listen, like I said, you know, but I do like the competitive aspect. I do think in a lot of ways, in a lot of entertainment and everything else, us as a society, we have lost that competitive nature. Even and I wanted to bring up the NBA. The NBA doesn't seem as competitive as it used to be. And a lot of people are blaming it on super teams. I think since last year, from the finals, it has changed and shifted a little bit to be a little more competitive, because now it seems to be more super teams or big threes than it was before. And now it's more of like big twos.
Okay.
But it's still, I feel like basketball as a whole is still not as competitive as it used to be. For example, Team USA, this is the first time they didn't have a medal since like the 90s. They lost against France yesterday. And stuff like that. I mean, it's just like, dang, like, USA is supposed to have the best players, and all the best players they just turned down the gig. It's not important to them anymore. And to me, it's like, wow, you're supposed to represent these things. Like, this is as messed up as people might say the country is. This is still our country. This is still our home. And as a competitive person, I'm like, I want to say, all right, yo, France didn't knock out USA before they even got a chance to win a medal. So, what do you guys think about how uncompetitive things have become?
I definitely have something to say.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you think it's because of the way the world is right now that people just don't have that, you know, like that spirit, that kind of drive to like represent their country, you know.
Right.
Do you think it's because of that, or you think it's because it's modern days, we have new players now, you know, they don't have the same values, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be definitely that they're making a statement that, okay, well, until our country has a better understanding of what the people feel and, you know, just, you know, everything going on with, you know, police brutality and stuff like that, until they actually tackle those issues, that, you know, they're not going to want to represent our country in other aspects. But I do believe for that very reason is why we should go harder in representing our country.
Right. Okay, I think that it comes down to dollars and cents in that aspect, and I feel that, you know, there's a lot of injured players, and they're not addressed. I know that there's so much money that, you know, the basketball players are making, and they're changing their lives, and furthermore, they're injuring themselves so much. You know, and on another time we'll talk about the injuries and what it does to players and
Right.
how it changes lives. It's incredible. You know, and I could, you know, there's other sports that are actually a lot worse.
Right.
And we don't need to get into right now, but I just feel that it's just as simple as I'm not gonna go traveling. I could be resting my injuries, saving that, because if I injure myself further, my career is over.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely another time. I want to get into like a lot of Achilles heels and tendons and stuff like that. A lot of the same injuries are starting to happen. I do think it has to do with the pace of the game. It's picked up so much over the years, and I do think that's going to change the way NBA is being played. It's going to slow the game down a little bit. But I think, because I do believe the pace of the way basketball is being played, even in college, a lot of the same injuries are starting to occur, a lot more frequent. And like as a whole, basketball players now are a lot more athletic than they were before, I would say, and a lot more healthier rather than athletic. But I'd say both. But for whatever reason, there's just through a sport that has so much less contact than it did within the 90s and the 80s and even the early 2000s, you would think that the injuries would actually slow down instead of pick up, you know. But I think we could get into real detail with that basketball episode or something like that.
That's true, because we could talk about just the workout routines alone,
But
how constant they are, how early they get up in the morning. It's just overkill on the body.
yeah.
You're not even getting. I understand that it's routine. It's automatic. I get that, but I feel that, you know, it's way too much. It's probably literally 3 times too much for the body.
Right.
To be able to stay healthy and what after basketball, meaning what do you do? And I okay, some people are gonna say, well, they become announcers, and that's great that they got those jobs ready for them, because what else are they gonna do?
But see, and that's another thing. Like as a public, we only seem to care about the game then and now, and the competitive aspect, which I do care about. But when players make certain decisions to stay in certain teams in certain cities, like Damian Lillard with Portland, he wants to stay with that specific team. We're like, why don't you go to a more competitive team with other players that match your caliber or match your style? But we you know, we give them grief for that. But like you said, outside of basketball, they still have life decisions to make. And I guess as a people, we don't seem to want to be bothered with that aspect of their lives. But I mean, they do get paid millions of dollars, and I guess that could be the answer to a lot of people's. You know, we paying you millions to live in Portland, which I don't know nothing about. But
I get that, but
versus Metropolis.
I get that, and I just want to speak out for the basketball players. I don't think that a lot of, not just basketball players, but I feel that the lifestyles that are introduced to high-paid athletes in general, without the proper counseling to be able to manage their money, whether it's investing, saving, or not buying such huge properties where, you know, just to heat your house up is like $200,000 plus a year. You know, they're not considering the cost after they're done with basketball or whatever they're done with, how they're gonna maintain to live that same lifestyle, and people laugh and think it's a joke because someone that was looked upon as the big superstar is now broke. Well, they're broke because no one's helping them understand the value of money.
Right. But that's what's happening with Odell. Beckham. They sent them to. I think that like the NFL, like a lot of the owners, and I'm not speaking for the NFL because I don't really know, but a lot of the owners seem to want to send us players a lot of messages. They kind of like, all right, we see what the NBA is doing. The players are playing for themselves and making their own decisions. We don't want that. So to send a message to Odell that he believes, and I think a lot of people do believe, and I also am one of them, that they sent them to the Browns not making the smartest decision, and I'm speaking of the Giants. They didn't do it for business. It wasn't a great trade. To me, it was a horrible trade, and they sent him to the Browns to be forgotten about and like just try to ruin his career based on personal. Like, all right, you're a little bit big. Your brand is a little big. We want to kind of quiet you down. But I could be wrong. It just seems like the pattern that's being made in the NFL, and I'm gonna say flat out that I'm not a fan of the NFL right now. I used to be a big fan, and I try to follow certain things, but certain patterns like that, things that seem personal instead of business or to better the game are being made. It makes me very uninterested in the game in ways that I shouldn't be, and to be excited for a whole new season, I'm not excited at all. Certain things I could talk about, but I would be promoting something that I don't really believe in right now.
Got it.
I will say, though, the Cowboys fans are very hyped right now. This is the first game, but nothing against the Cowboys, but listen, this is the first game. We've been here before.
Yeah, I got you.
So I'm just gonna touch base on that. Do you feel like it's because of the people that he affiliates himself with? Like he's always around celebrities. Like I've seen him around Drake, some music artists. Do you think it's because of that?
Yeah.
And because of Drake, he interferes in the game sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've seen a couple things about that. So.
And what you're saying is the question being is it because that question supports the fact that I think he's becoming too big of a brand, and the NFL doesn't want the players to be the brand. There's like you could say certain players are the Michael Jordans of NFL, but the truth of the matter is there's no NFL player at all close to the stardom of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has his own brand, if not as big as the NBA. People know Michael Jordan's name, don't know the NBA's name at all.
I would say,
but that's debatable. I don't know, but I don't think the NFL likes the fact that Odell Beckham aligning himself up with a Drake or with somebody else like that of that stature is good for their business. And especially if, let's say, Odell Beckham becomes as big as a Michael Jordan. Let's say he doesn't agree with all the, that's everything that's the NFL supporting, then that can hurt their brand. So they're like, we don't want that competitive side. But yeah, I think that was a great question. That was definitely cool. But before we let that go, Odell, don't slack just because you're on the Browns, man. You need to make a statement. I'm sure that's the way you're thinking, and if whether you're watching this or not, I'm sure a lot of people support you still. And do your thing this season.
I mean, there's so many topics to discuss. I just want to give a lot of credit to Michael Jordan, by the way, on that note. Michael Jordan he has achieved so much, and I don't believe people realize behind the scenes all the different battles that he had to deal with to get to the level where he's at. People call him a ball hog, and you hear all these different things, but I guarantee you, and I was one of them. I used to give him a lot of slack, but when I look back at the games, he's one of the hardest players in the game.
Right. Yeah.
All the points that he scored, not one of them were given to him. He fought for every single point on that court.
Yeah. That's a strong statement, honestly, and I agree with it. And I'm just looking at the tapes from behind. I didn't even watch it live, but it definitely shows so much of a brutaler part of the game. And for his height and build, he was getting beat up by the biggest dudes in the NBA, and he was still making every point count. So
It's true.
I mean, yeah, Michael Jordan is his own legacy.
I mean, and you know, we can go back and forth with, you know, which are the better athlete, from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to you know, LeBron James. I would just say that Michael Jordan had it pretty rough in those times. Going against the Knicks, you know, New York, you know, you got to talk about the Knicks. You know, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not, you know, let's just say I like all the teams. I'm not a fan of anybody but God. But on that note,
Speaking of the Knicks, though,
yeah,
what you think the Knicks gonna do this year? Because I think the Knicks have a solid team, even though they kind of botched the whole deal with trying to get Kevin Durant. I think they dropped the ball with that, but they still have a little bit of a solid team to try to make a playoff run. Even though the East is very heavy right now.
I would just say I would not count or bet 1 cent on the Knicks winning for the next 50, 40,000
Right.
years.
It might have to do. That might have to do with the organization, though, rather than players.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean,
what if they get a player accidentally, like within the dude from France to actually shut down Kemba Walker? By the way, he shut him down up the court, 90 feet up.
well,
What if he becomes a star and they accidentally have to win?
if they accidentally, and as long as they don't do what I feel that they did to John Starks,
Right.
constantly giving him the ball, the shoe, constantly throwing, and he's missing and throwing, and it just goes to show you how, you know, not the brightest people in the world, Pat Riley, should be doing things like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like if they just let the guys play,
Yeah.
just let them play the game.
Well, they're trying to sell. Well, Knicks tickets are always gonna sell, win or lose. So they don't
I
care.
get the
whether they-
strategic part of that. I think I understand it better than most. New York fans will always attend those stadiums, no matter what.
It's New York.
And there's no other place in America you can say the same.
All right. I wanna introduce another segment.
Sure.
This is cool. This is called Let's Go or Let It Go.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
All right. So the first one I'm gonna bring up is actually they actually making a movie for Breaking Bad, the TV show.
Nice.
And as
Nice.
I've mentioned in the last episode, if you didn't see it, go see it. I'm not gonna mention what it is, but I like when they leave something that is tightly wrapped in a bow. No problems with it. I like them to leave it alone. But some people might disagree with the ending of Breaking Bad.
Like me.
I have my own theories on that. We can get into that another day.
Like me.
But I think they should leave it alone. I think they should let it go.
I'm gonna say definitely let it go.
I think they're doing it to please the fans, and that's where a lot of like shows go wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just gonna give you an example, like Stranger Things.
Right.
As much as I love the first season, I feel like the second season they were focusing more on kind of just like pleasing the, you know, it's like they developed such a large fan base that, you know, I feel like they just wanted to put little clips in there. You know, I'm not gonna say too much about it, 'cause obviously for the people that haven't watched
But
it
like
yet,
callbacks and stuff to make it nostalgic, right?
to make it nostalgic, or, you know, a little, I'm not gonna lie, a little singing segments, things like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I feel like they do it for that, and of course for profit. I mean, that's
Right.
number one, you know. But I feel like, you know, they should just focus on another project. Maybe
Right.
do a little spin-off of
Right.
Breaking Bad. You know, that might be a good idea.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to introduce.
Wait, wasn't it Jesse's point of view of the show? Isn't
Well,
it? That's how they're gonna do it,
So that's like a separate thing,
right?
but the movie part is actually gonna be a continuation, I believe, of an aftermath from what happened on the show.
Okay.
I kind of thought that Better Call Saul was a good spin-off for that.
Wasn't
I
bad.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed the last season very much. I like the slow build-up in the development of characters.
Right.
Even though Saul as a character is so much fleshed out than he was on Breaking Bad, he becomes such a better character on his own show,
Okay.
and it kind of, you know, it kind of contradicts his character within Breaking Bad. But I mean, that can't stop you from pursuing a show and you know, trying to, you know,
I mean,
it
you're
shouldn't
right.
stunt character development growth, especially if they have something going. But I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking. No one's like, yo, you have to see Better Call Saul. But for whatever reason, everyone's talking about this Breaking Bad movie, and it would be such a disappointment if the show's legacy is tarnished due to, you know, this
That would be
movie.
disappointing.
Well, you know, like you said, Josh, in regards to money, it's all about dollars and cents. And I wish them well. I personally doubt if I would even think about getting into any spinoff of anything. I think Breaking Bad was, I would say, perfect almost. Except that I feel that Jesse should have been the one to go down in the end. That's all. I'm rooting for the bad guy. I'm just saying, in this instant, I think he should have lived happily ever after, and but you know, you definitely
Like I
disagree
said,
with that.
I got a theory on that.
What's the theory?
I'm gonna get into detail another time, but I don't think Walter White died. We didn't see him die. It's not a stretch.
As much as
Go
I
back.
want Walter White to live, anyway,
It's not a stretch.
I'm not sure.
Go back to
if
the
I would
scene.
appreciate
They
that.
checked his
because
pulse and they didn't do nothing.
Everything was just kind of realistic to me, and I really enjoyed the
And
show.
don't get me wrong,
I
I
don't
don't mind when
corny.
I don't mind when a
what I mean?
protagonist doesn't
Yeah.
live. Trust me, I'm fine with certain main characters dying and stuff. But the mystery of, okay, he got hit. The way he got, listen, I ain't gonna get into it, man.
No.
That'll bring
We
a
all
whole
know-
hour out of
Listen,
here,
we
but-
all listen. Unfortunately, we all know people that's been shot, and they just shot. They ain't
Right.
died. So it's not that far fetched in the first place.
I'm just saying.
And I mean, hey, it could be a lot of things. He could have.
Shout out to Heisenberg.
He could have had a bulletproof shirt on, Teflon.
I mean, listen, he didn't bleed enough to for it to be. And I do think
He could make it to
Yo,
the
we could-
hospital, but wasn't he far out somewhere in the desert?
I don't think
or
so.
something? Where was he?
Listen, I'm
Say
gonna
he
say
didn't
that
bleed
for another time.
that
All right, so well listen, we're gonna predict this way before the show, and let's see how it goes.
All right.
Right. All right. Well, to touch up on that a little bit,
Yeah.
I do think they're gonna leave Walter White a legacy. He's gonna be the ghost in the shadows. He might be maybe he's still around type of situation, but I don't think they're ever gonna answer that question. And I think that ambiguous,
Okay.
aspect of his death should stay that way. And
I got a
think
question.
if they're
though.
smart.
What's that?
Do you think they kind of left it at that so that they'll have enough time to think about what to do next?
Right.
Or do you think this idea is just coming out of the blue? Like, you know what? Let's just come out with a movie. Like,
Well,
you think you know what I mean?
what brings that back to Stranger Things, they say they're gonna have a whole fourth season. I think certain things are written to not last as long as they do, and because of that fame and popularity, they just add little things in there and they kind of write themselves into a little hole. In that situation, like you said, I think they purposely left it open to always revisit it, and if they wanted to bring it back, like like an old show or a sitcom, like a Roseanne or Full House, a much more serious note, rather than wrapping it up and not being able to touch it again, and just contradicting the end of
Well,
the story.
I tell you what, a new show that I'm interested in, and it so happens to be on Apple Plus, by the way. November 1st, Apple Plus TV is going to be $4.99 a month. They're going to probably be deleting, I would say, Netflix style
And then
of
the TV
TV.
streamer. It's TV
I don't
streaming.
know. Disney's coming out with theirs too. So.
Disney.
Well, that's interesting.
Cool.
But I like the
okay.
fact that they're starting at 5. Maybe it's gonna bring down the Netflix to start. I feel like every day the dollar's going up for the month.
I mean,
And I get it. That's a sales tactic. You start them off low, you raise the
But
price.
if they take the Office off, what's left on
Oh,
Netflix?
come on.
can they take that off?
Shout out
If
to
they
Michael.
take that off, I'm not gonna even notice.
So you're not.
And I know there's a lot of
Shout out
Office
to
fans,
Michael.
and people gonna be mad.
Nah, listen. The Office is the best show to me. Sitcom.
I love the humor.
I'll
you know
leave it
what
at
I mean?
that. The best show ever. as far as sitcoms go. I mean, if you want to call it a sitcom, what is it?
It is a sitcom,
Right.
technically, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
know-
The Office is
I know a
brilliant.
lot of people that love The Office. Personally, I could walk right past the TV and won't even look twice.
If you want to get into the Mount Rushmores, I'd say Fresh Prince, The Office,
Oh, you got to be kidding
Martin.
me.
And,
Whoa.
Martin.
Damn, what was the last one? What's the last one? What you would say the last one is, man? I mean, you know
The
you have
Last
your own
Show.
list, but I'll come back to
I
the
mean,
list,
we all
but-
know one of my favorite shows is Lost.
I know
That
you gonna
that
say
is
that.
that's one of the
You can
best
put
shows.
Breaking Bad on Mount Rushmore,
I
but
put Breaking Bad there too.
I like comedy. I like comedy stuff, but Breaking Bad to me might be the best show as far as everything, character development.
can I just-
Even though I don't think I have a theory on that.
All right, but let me go back to Apple really quick.
Uh,
So Apple has a show coming out called C, and what I appreciate about the show is they're sending a really strong message. And by the way, it's the most watched new show in history. Okay, and it's about the world and the people all went blind, and I believe that because of the greed that, and not, how people speak generally and they go us and what we did to other people. It's not us. It's not you and myself. We're not in position of power to destroy the planet. But those people that are greedy, that destroy the planet, I believe that, and I guess it'll come out if what I'm saying is true. The planet had to do what it had to do to save the planet.
To touch on that, I guess when people say us, they say that we as a people support those in power by buying their products, Apple, or I'm not saying it's Apple's fault, but
All right.
I'm saying people with money and people that do have the power to make those changes, we support them.
Let me just say I appreciate Apple not allowing law enforcement agencies to go into our personal information,
Right, yeah.
and I respect that, and
Right.
that's a big thing, because who cares about favors?
Right.
Like, seriously, we should care more about people, and I get it, and it's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny how, and let me just say this, we were talking about our phones the other day, how every time I say something on my phone, if I say, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting this new Tesla," why don't you just give me the car? I shouldn't even be dealing with this.
Right.
It's Tesla. First off, Tesla is an interesting person in general. The things, and I'm not gonna endorse.
What, Nikola Tesla?
Yeah, I'm not gonna endorse the invention that he did about this big and what it does. Some people know. I'm not gonna go into that. He's a genius, and I love the car. Period.
Right.
And I've heard some things about the battery smelling. I don't care. I want the Tesla. Get the Tesla. But
I'm gonna leave that alone because I ain't a fan of Tesla like that. I like my old-fashioned Chargers, my '67 Corvettes. We can do the Mount Rushmore on that one day. Tesla's
Still gonna get
cool. I like the
Corvette.
technology, all that. That's cool. I like my old-fashioned cars, even the old Lambos, Murcielagos. I like the
I love.
I like the Hot Wheel cars, man. That's me personally, but I don't know. I don't know. I can understand where you're going with that, and as far as the patents and certain infringement and certain things going on there. But I'm the type of person that if you see something and someone else isn't capitalizing on it, just you're not gonna just stop your progression because of somebody else, taking long or not ever even pursuing that. So, but that's a whole nother conversation to be had.
Yeah, that's we got a lot of topics to talk about. I think we're gonna conclude, right? Unless anybody else has anything else to say at the moment.
We covered, some pretty good topics.
I can't wait to see it. The movie's coming out. I think it's out now, right?
I'm not into
I'm
horror flicks.
not
at
into
all.
horror
See
flicks?
that.
I'm not. I'm
But
good.
all these movies that have been coming out lately, I've been a big fan of how they're paying attention to small details in movies and little Easter eggs. But it is like, you know, the appetizer for the Joker that's coming out, Joaquin Phoenix, and can't wait to see that. I don't know what you guys are looking forward to, but yeah, I think we can wrap this up, right?
Yeah, we can wrap this up. I just want to say much love. Thank you for watching.
Yo, Apple.
Apple with the watch.